Our first speaker is Steve Feld, and he's not just a coach. He's an MBA. He's a certified business coach, author, professional speaker, podcast host, award-winning business manager, executive, and coffee enthusiast. So, Steve, cheers. I think in the last 2 days I've become a coffee addict, but
it'll do it to you every time.
Yeah, right. So Steve has worked with over 300 businesses that seek him out to work with them on gaining much needed clarity. And you remember, we have been talking about clarity all along, in that clarity about your goals, your niche, your brand, all of those things are what you build your strategy upon. That's the foundation. If you're not clear on your message, on what you're trying to do, then it's not going to work for you. And I just wanted to mention one really cool thing about Steve. He was the director of global merchandise for the Harlem I can never say it. Globetrotters. Thank you. Too much of that coffee. And I just love that. And he was also the general manager for Rawhide in the 1880s. So just really cool stuff. I really love it, Steve. And today we're going to be talking about the message is money. Want more money? Then that's in the messaging. And what have we kept telling you? It's the personalization, it's building the relationship, it's all of that. So, Steve, I wondered if you could just introduce your topic a little bit in terms of telling us what exactly that means. And I'm going to give you the floor. Okay.
Okay. Absolutely. I mean, talking to so many small business owners, when I'm saying, okay, what's your goals? What are you trying to get out of your marketing? What are your business goals? And I hear the same things. Well, I want to make a lot of money. It's like, well, who's your target market?
Yeah.
Well, it's everyone.
It's everyone. Right?
Not everyone.
But we all made that mistake at some time in our lives.
Yeah. After owning 7 businesses and turning around 3 others, guess what? Yes, I have made that mistake.
Yeah. I started out that way too. And yesterday I was telling people about my cat named Fat Max, who knocked a dry food off the top of the refrigerator, and the top came off. For weeks he went back to that refrigerator. But you really have to, obviously food was important to Fat Max, but it was a one-off. Right. It only happened once, but we're afraid to close down that one-off. So yeah, totally got it.
And it's, many business owners, it's like, also, what's your goal? You even mentioned this. What is the goal of your business? What are you building this thing for? Mm-hmm. And I hear this, well, I want to sell it one day for that elusive $1 million. It's like, yeah. Well, how? How are you going to sell it?
Yeah.
And it's just you and your spouse in the business. No one wants to buy it. You built a great income stream, but not a business. There's a big difference. Yeah. So I always say, let's focus on what is your target of your business? What are your goals? Because how do you know where you're going to go, and how are you going to measure it if you don't know the goals where you want to go?
Right. Absolutely.
So I always try to hit on that. And it's, one of my businesses, my goal was to, become big and then possibly sell it off to a conglomerate. Well, it blew up. It was growing like a weed. I was in the tech space. Tech bubble burst. So did the business. So I pivoted and reformed a new business 3 days later after crying about it and feeling sorry for myself, which I really did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it took 3 days of moping, sitting in a dark room in a corner, crying about it, to give me clarity what to do next. And that was to help the businesses that were still in the tech space, help them. They're beaten up now. I mean, the tech bubble just burst. They lost their funding. But a lot of these companies already had funding. So I said, let's go be a consultant for them, open up my second company with the goal of actually building that up into a business to sell. Mm-hmm. So I had the clarity from before I even filed the LLC paperwork. Well, it grew like in a year and a half, I sold the company. So it grew really fast, and it was the goal. And I sold it to another consulting company who was in the tech space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have to have that goal, but it was also clarity of who my target market was.
Mhm.
Did I take any non-techies on board during that time? And the answer was no.
Yeah.
I was clear with, because my messaging was spot on
Yeah.
who I'm talking to and who I'm focusing on. And everyone says, well, what about all the people you turned away? I'm like, I turned them on to other companies that were in their niche, and everything was fine. Really. I had no business. It was all good.
Yeah, you don't have to do it all alone. You know, you can, and you can take some of those aspects and pass them on to someone else. And that clarity and that narrowing of focus and everything is so important. I tell people my playground is LinkedIn, but I'm a personal brand strategist. And if they don't have that clarity before they move on, then they're going to be buried. You know, they're just going to not be heard at all.
It's funny you mentioned that. I did this video for this organization about updating your LinkedIn profile. Next thing you know, I'm getting like over 1,000 requests a week. I'm like, when are you showing this? And they're like, oh, we're sending it out. And I'm like, I'm noticing a jump in my request.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it also keeps you sharp, but that's where you need to know who your market is. And just that little headline, stop putting CPA. You know what? When people read that, it's boring, it's dull. Why should I reach out to you? Why should I connect with you? There's no reason why I need a CPA. But they just said CPA. But what happens if you said, I help small businesses with relieving their tax stress?
Yes.
Oh my God. Did you just speak to me?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's why I say your message is your money. And it's as simple as that, because find out who your target market is. That's your number one thing. And you even said it, and I cannot stop saying it enough. If you don't know who your target market is, it's kind of like driving and you don't know where the destination is.
Yeah, exactly. And I can relate to that as someone whose life was seriously changed by GPS.
Yes. There's a great example. It's like, you're going from Los Angeles to New York. You don't plan it out. You've never taken the route before. You don't have no maps, no GPS. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually. But it's going to cost you a lot of extra money, gas. It's going to put you in places probably you don't want to go. You're going to be confused, frustrated, and lost. Well, just think, you're doing that same thing with your prospective customer. But if you have that clairvoyancy and you map out the way and said, I'm going to go here, I'm going to stop here, I'm going to eat here, and you have it all planned out, you're crystal clear, you're going to get to your destination in no time with less stress and be efficient. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's just like your marketing message. So if you're all over the place in your message, guess what? So is everyone reading it or looking at it or hearing it.
They're not seeing themselves in the message. Yeah.
And always put yourself that with them. What's in it for me? Always take yourself out of it. Yes, we're all emotional about our own businesses. That's our babies. I mean,
absolutely. And actually, when they're starting out, they are like a 3 month.
Yeah. You know, it's 3 to 5 years of nonstop crying and 24/7 nurturing and taking care of it. And then you finally get to breathe when they start walking and talking.
Yes. Well, I don't have any, but I've seen it in my nephews and nieces. And so that becomes a whole different phase of your business.
Absolutely. That's when you can grow. And then they turn into that, teenager. So they're going to cause you trouble. And it's just like your business. If you're not clear on how you're raising your baby, it's going to affect you when those teenage angst years are coming around.
Yeah, exactly.
So the big thing is, I always say, want more money with your messaging. It's as simple as changing a phrase, who it is that your target market is. So I always say, let's be crystal clear in your target market. I've gone into a business where they said, my target market is XYZ. They were crystal clear. They were confident. They showed me all their marketing. And I'm like, wait, your marketing material says it's ABC. You're saying it's XYZ. Let's look at who your customer is.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold the customers. Oh my gosh. He wasn't even in the ballpark of who his customers were and his messaging and who he thought it was. They were three completely separate things.
Mm-hmm.
So we changed his messaging to target that market because he loved those people. And all of a sudden, he went from starvation to like, he bought out other related businesses. And now he has a staff of 18.
Wow.
Yeah. This is like within
terrific.
4 years.
I just hit my staff of 3 a couple of years ago, and it's still at 3, but we're functioning pretty well. As
Absolutely.
A unit.
He had one person, him and his one person, they were like overworked, beaten up, barely making money. But we also got clarity, not on his target market, but also on his business. Where does he want to take his business 5, 10 years? What's the goal of it? What's your, exit strategy? Because honestly, folks, we all have to exit our business. I'm sorry to be that guy today. You either sell it, legacy, which your kids really probably don't want. It's usually 8%. So let's be real about it. My kids don't want my business, and I know I don't want my kids to take over my business.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's like asking your cat to take over your business.
Yeah. Here I am a dog. You're my cat. Be the dog now.
Yeah. And one of the things that I tell my clients to do is not just to poll their niche, it's to actually get into conversations with them and understand what their frustrations and their challenges, before you start presenting your solutions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Because if you know who the market is, you're going to have enough data on their problems. So now it's question time to them.
Yeah.
So I can ask things like, okay, being a business coach and I'm working with small business owners. Okay, what keeps you up at night? Simple question. It's been told a million times. Nothing, didn't revolutionize the world with that one. But guess what? Every small business owner has that one thing, and it's unique to them that kept them up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've missed a number of nights in my past, which is why I'm drinking coffee.
I'm a coffee addict, it seems like.
Well, that's me too. In fact, I promised my husband yesterday morning that I'd cut back sometime because I'm freaking out.
I love coffee so much. I actually have my own brand of coffee.
Do you really?
I go to conferences and those things. People are handing out pens and paper, branded stuff. Here I am with coffee.
Yeah.
Different, but it's me, and I know my market. And because I have it, it's Biz Coach Steve Coffee, and it says your business should be buzzing, not boring.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I like that.
It ties into what I do. It's something about me into my business, but it's also who I help with. And it even says business owners, small business owners.
Yeah, because we've all missed those nights. And I find that when I'm talking to clients, I'm usually talking about or asking them about their frustrations.
Yeah.
Not just the challenge, but the frustrations. Where are they just, it's not working, they don't know how to use it. And there's all that frustration that comes into that. And then compare it to, well, what do you want it to be like, in 5 to 6 years, or, I often talk as low as 3 months. Where do you want to be in 3 months? Because that's so important for your business.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Every business has their own challenges to them.
Yeah.
When you look at it, it's nothing new. You're not the first to have this challenge. You won't be the last. Believe me, after talking to so many business owners, I still mentor for SCORE, Arizona Commerce Authority, all these other places. So I'm getting data from so many business owners, conferences, conventions, get involved, networking. Guess what? You start hearing right as soon as they say their problem, you already have a solution, but don't go there.
We'll go there. Yeah, exactly.
More.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what, a number of people have mentioned, their story, their why.
Right.
And that's the first thing I tell people when they're doing a LinkedIn profile is, you've got to appeal to their challenges and all of that, but you've also got to put a snippet in there of who you are, and how you react with people. You've got to recognize the unique, superpowers or even sense of humor or whatever you have, because that's part of it. And I always tell my clients, it's not that you're better than anyone else. People don't buy from you because you're the best. I'm sorry, there's somebody in the world who's better. You know?
There is.
But they buy from you because you're different and you're their kind of different. So that you're appealing to people. And that really is all about branding, which is all about that clarity and everything.
Absolutely. I completely agree because, I have a business coach. Well, how can I be a coach and say, hey, you need a coach, and if I don't have a coach?
Yeah.
So my coach years and years ago says, she told me this, let your freak flag fly. And it's like, be you, be authentic. And I'm kind of quirky and funny and I throw weird things out of the wall. But you know what? That makes me me. And I start putting all that in my marketing, putting it all in my sense of humor into things. All of a sudden, my business started growing and I had more fun.
Yeah. And everybody's been talking about AI and ChatGPT and Bard and all those different, aspects. And I was saying yesterday, well, I take some of the things I write and I put them in Bard, and ask it. And I have a sense of humor that comes from the Harvard Lampoon. Okay? That's what it is. And so I can put it in there, and say, hey, write this like Lord of the Rings, and it'll come out with something like that. So I think, your quirks, that's what I call it, flaunting your quirks. Yeah. Because, and we're all vulnerable and we all know that. So it's getting really real too with those people about who we are and why we do what we do.
And I swear to God, this will attract your tribe, if you will. If you're servicing, say, a certain tribe and they get you, you can attract more.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the people who dip their toe in your pool and they're not there to buy.
Right.
Remember, 8% of people at their shoppers, if you will, are price sensitive. Like if you change your prices 1 penny, they're gone. Guess what? Bye-bye. Really, you don't want those. You want long-term sustainable customers, because I am a big believer building a long-term sustainable business. You can't do that with price-sensitive people.
No, you really can't. You really can't.
Leave that to Walmart. Really.
Yeah, and it's also about, I talk to people a lot about LinkedIn and how to attract people and all of that. And, I always urge them to base their headline on their brand.
That's it.
And what they do. And I just lost where I was going with that. I tell them that, a powerful brand is going to repel as strongly as it retracts. You don't need those people that it repels. You don't want them,
Let them go. Bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because there's someone else.
Pat, Max, you're not getting any more cat food off of that one.
There's someone else in your industry that they cater to those people. It's just not you.
Right.
So let it go and give it to those people. That's why when I had that second company, it's like I knew who my target market was. I'm not a techie. I don't speak tech.
Yeah.
I had to teach them how to speak business and because they're techies, they don't know anything about business. So it was a perfect win for me. But they liked me and I got to understand them and their quirkiness and the way they communicate. And I communicated right back to them in their language.
Yeah. That's sometimes the difference when people talk about marketing and selling, that it does have to be in their language.
Absolutely. And that's why I say your message is money. So who are you attract?
Yeah. So what would you suggest to people in terms of, how they get there with this concept of being clear and staying on track, and that the message is the money? We all know that.
Yeah, I've even done litmus tests in a lot of the businesses. And we used to do the yes, no charts and all this and to make it fun. So it's like, I did it in my second business with my business coach at the time. Are they in the tech space? Yes or no? There is no other answer.
Yeah.
So if it was no, refer them to someone else. Boom. And who to refer them? And I had multiple referrals. They are in the tech space? Yes. What type? Software, hardware. Hardware. Then it would go splinter out.
Right.
You're looking for venture capital money, long-term success, sell the company. It split out. Now I kept asking these questions, getting granular. Then at the end, that gave me enough data to actually give them the pitch, if you will, in their language, everything they want.
Yes. Having that same language is so important. And I know my mentor of many years, always has us talk to our potential clients and really get clear on not just their frustrations and all of that, but, get those words, just actually record it and use those words. It's like somebody once said that, they were having trouble selling jeans and working with, no, they were having trouble, attracting women to their weight loss program. And then she came up with the term, wear your skinny jeans again. We have all been there at some point. I know I have jeans in many different sizes. But everybody knows what that means to get into your skinny jeans.
Right. Yeah, people do it. I mean, we work with, they call body sculptors, cosmetic surgery. So he had a thing called a mommy makeover, but he had all his pictures said mommy makeover. What does that really mean? And all the images on the site of his ads they look like models, not mom or makeover.
Yeah.
Surgery, but they look like models, not moms. So we changed it. Would you like to look like you did before you had kids? Then we showed actual patients before and after, and they were real moms.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he went from like barely having one practice, getting the people in the door, to multiple practices, and he became authentic. But it was also his messaging and then how we captured the leads using drip campaigns. We're giving away, here's 10 things you should ask any cosmetic surgeon.
Yeah.
So it's specific to him, but it's obviously it highlighted him. Free guide captures that information, does a drip campaign on them. So they stay in the loop. If they're not going to buy it today, they're going to buy it probably down the road. And that little guide answered the top 10 questions all people thinking about this kind of procedure was asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that whole if you're going to appeal to moms and have them be real people, seem authentic, and also you can share the vulnerability of that too. So I think that's great. I always said, because my mother she was gorgeous, and I always said, I'd want a mom that had flour in her hair. I wanted, I didn't want her to be gorgeous. I wanted her to, be like a cookie maker, like you saw on TV. So it speaks in so many different ways.
But I mean, that was just a simple example. You just changed your message. Did we change anything else in his business? Just his messaging, and it turned into money. So, but we had to really know his target market. So when we started looking at it, who are you targeting? He goes, well, obviously mom. What age group? He was like, well, all of them. No. Okay. Here we go again.
Yeah, exactly.
So we even had to narrow down the demographics. What do they wear? What kind of houses? What is their image, their self-image? Because you've dealt with these customers before, so you have knowledge.
Yeah.
He started getting into that, and he goes, well, they're pretty much moms between 40 and 50. That's where we're going to stay.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because I just went on the Marketers Cruise a couple of months ago. For those of you who don't know what the Marketers Cruise is, where you meet a whole lot of marketers. And before I went, I was working with my coach because I'm getting ready to start a mastermind. And when I went on the cruise, I was saying, okay, I want women who are above 60, who will never see 60 again. I came back from that cruise saying, no, they need to be above 70, because the 70 years and 80 years are a whole lot different, and the challenges are different than they are when you're in your 60s. So you really have to keep narrowing. And what did it on the cruise was there were these women in their 80s and 90s speaking from the stage, and doing great. And I just thought, those are the people I really want to work with. Just getting that knowledge and narrowing that focus more and more. And I probably will narrow it even more. I mean, I'm in the process right now. But and my business coach said, the fastest growing influencers now are grandfluencers. That's what they call them. And I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's baby boomers retiring right now. That's what's going on in definitely the U.S. I'm going to just put this there because other parts it's ups and downs. But in the US, people are retiring. So they're either trying to get out of their businesses, which is a great time to buy an existing business that you like, and then sculpt it into your vision, which will save you all the startup headaches and everything else. Not only that, you get the tools and support from the prior owner, you probably get easier financing. And guess what? Then you're going to find out that client base that they already have. So when you take the keys over, you'll unlock the door, there's customers.
Yeah.
So, and that is the fastest growing demographic right now.
Oh, yeah.
Not realizing they're retiring. So that's why financial planners are having a field day right now. They're busier than busy. Insurance right now, they're busier than busy. They have also rate issues and everything else. But
everything that goes with it.
Start thinking of your market of other things that are outside of your control too. Like you said, once you started realizing, you thought it was here, and then as you started, your eyes get open, we all do, and you're like, oh, it's actually here.
Yeah, exactly. So I went on that cruise for 7 days and I came back with a different market, and I came back thinking, oh, this is going to be fun. Right. And we just had somebody on yesterday talking about masterminds, and because I've been through his program a number of times, and he kept asking this question: who would make you so excited when you woke up in the morning that you just wanted to work with them? Because your business has to also be your joy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So because yes, we all want to make money, and you're absolutely right. That message is related to money, but it's also related to ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. If you're having fun in your business, guess what your business is doing? Probably making money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's not fun when you're not making money.
No, it's horrible. I've been there.
Me too. More than once. So yeah, I totally get it. And really what happened with me was 10 years ago, I fell down a flight of stairs and I broke my pelvis in 5 places. I lost an entire year. I lost my business. I lost everything. So I had to start thinking, okay, not only how do I make money fast, but, to make up for this, but also where can I do it without paying a lot of money myself? Where can I do it where I don't have? And so that really narrows down what your playground is. I call it your playground, but
it is. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Totally. I mean, I've ran mastermind groups for I don't know how long, but everyone had each mastermind has a focus and it has specific guidelines, who gets behind the red rope, if you will.
Right. Absolutely.
And if you don't hit those qualifications, so sorry, this isn't the right mastermind for you, because I am catering to this demographic. This is what we're going to talk about. You're going to be an outliner and you won't understand what they're talking about. And they won't understand what you're talking about because there's too much of a gap. I did one mastermind. All the companies there were making 30 million plus, all the owners. Guess what? Someone wanted to come in making 10. Well, when they came in, the other owners are like, we don't get what you're saying. We've already been there, done it. It's so far in our rear view mirror, we can't remember it. The 10 million is like, I can't even fathom this yet.
Yeah. Too big a difference.
Too big of a gap.
So really, and that is that gatekeeping. That is that gatekeeping on who you invite and how you do it. And that's another area where you just have to be real clear.
Right. And if you get a demand there, guess what? You just open up a new market for yourself. So I started getting those smaller businesses that were doing close to like 500,000 to $1 million. So guess what? I started a new mastermind group for them. And
that's great.
They were like fun and engaging. And I always look forward to it. Whereas the guys who are doing 30 million plus, they're disengaged, a lot of them, but they were listening and taking action on everything. They networked like a beast. Even at 30 million. And guess what? They used each other's resources like there was gold.
Yeah.
Smaller businesses didn't use the resources from their other fellow members as much. They didn't see the value yet.
Yeah.
It was like you could see the differences of the high performers that are just crushing it and wanting to do better. And then the smaller ones are like, I want to get to 1 million.
Yeah.
Whereas 30 million are like, I want to get to 100 million.
Yeah, exactly. My mentor just started a new program called Actionaire. It's an app, and he plans on multiple millions. I mean, and this is where they're going to be in 5 years. And I'm not a member of his playing field. He's on a different level, and yet for all of us who are in his mastermind, he is absolutely there for us. And teaches us leadership and teamwork and all those kinds of things. So yeah, it's all about who you're going to let in and who you're going to let out. And one of the things that we were pointing out yesterday is that a mastermind is a more high ticket item. So that's, so you don't have to work with playing with all those smaller packages, because, you're focusing on that high ticket item, that high ticket program.
I mean, I work with a guy who had a retail, but it was his third retail store, and he sold all the other ones off because he was highly successful and decided to go in different niches. So he decided to help other fellow retailers of his industry. So he created a mastermind group. He's a retail store owner. We helped him set up his mastermind group. Oh my gosh, the results that came out of that group, because he put up the red rope, knew his target market. He actually sent messages specifically to certain people. So that's your medium. And he was very precise in everything. And guess what? He attracted the right people, and they got unbelievable results.
Yeah. And that's what happens when you have someone that's really, really running a mastermind the way it should be run. And there are hybrid programs. There are all kinds of high ticket programs. But yeah, it all does go back to the messaging.
That's it.
Yeah.
He just wanted to help the industry and get another revenue stream.
And people heard him.
Yeah. His business was so good. And it was actually, we started working together right before COVID. So retail, COVID, not a good time, right?
Yeah.
We pivoted, did a whole bunch of shifts and pivoted. His business grew even faster. And meanwhile, he's sharing all this with his mastermind group, and they're working on it together. All those businesses pivoted and grew. Meanwhile, all their competition is closing up shop.
Yeah. And if you don't know and you can't make that shift, it's so hard. I mean, there were a lot of coaches that I know who went under at that time. Now, I was already online. That's where my business was. But it really didn't, it helped my business in a lot of ways. But when we were talking about masterminds the other day, we were talking, the Surgeon General declared that loneliness is an epidemic these days. And so that mastermind, or, being able to gather people together to really grow together is just, so important and so powerful.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And yeah, I was doing Zoom. I stopped meeting in person 2 years before the pandemic. So I was on Zoom. I had to educate my customers to go on Zoom. And they started realizing how much more time it helped all of it.
Yeah. You don't have to drive to the meeting.
Right.
You can sit there right in front of your computer, or you can even be on a podcast and you don't have to put makeup on. I mean,
yeah, it saved me and my business 19,000 miles a year of living in my car, going from client to client.
Wow, I hadn't even thought of that.
And of course, dry cleaning and all these other, started going bad meals. You're not eating healthy, to eating healthy, fitness. So you're hitting all quadrants. I call quadrants, your health and fitness, relationship, your business, finances. And then, of course, some people have spiritual, religious in there as well. But by going on Zoom, all of a sudden my life got more balanced. I was taking on more clients because now I don't have drive time.
Right.
And I started opening up from local. Next thing I know, I have clients in Australia, Canada, Mexico, Europe. And I was having a blast. And then COVID hit, and I was like, I was still doing okay. And I was getting even busier.
Yeah. So that's a matter of an example of a small business that does that reassessment, does that pivot. And that's so important. So Steve, I wanted to ask you if you had, 2 or 3 tips that you could share with people about how they can move forward and getting that clarity in messaging.
The easiest, we covered it, is polling who your current customers are.
Yeah.
Who are they? Demographically, psychologically, but why did they buy from you? Why did they go with you and not someone else? And I did this in my business. I was focused on one market. All my messaging, target this market. I mean, it was crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
I realized I'm busy and not one of my clients is in that market. And I couldn't figure this out. So I talked to each of one of my customers, had coffee with them, asked them multiple questions in a conversational style. Next thing I know, they all said, your message really spoke to me.
Yeah.
I go, but it also says the market. And they go, oh, I ignored that. But everything else hit me that you're my guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, great. What are your results? What all this? And as we got clearer and clearer, next thing you know, I got rid of the industry names and put small business owners who do between this and this. And guess what? Business was still going good. It's like,
yeah, that's it.
be clear on who you really are serving. Where's your passion lie too?
Yeah. And, I came out of higher ed and I consider myself a recovering academic because, I made the mistake of just, I'd always been involved with career development. So, hey, I'm going to be a career coach, but I didn't think of who I'm going to coach, because I'd been working with students and a few alums, but this is an entirely different market. And I knew nothing about business practices. I knew nothing about marketing, any of those kinds of things. And my first business just died on the vine. And you'll like this. I called it Career Windows, which I thought was really cool. Yeah. Well, when you put in Career Windows in Google, it came up with like 40 pages of Windows, Microsoft. It was like, nope, that wasn't working. So I actually went back and I had to learn business practices.
Right.
And I had to learn how to do these things. I studied personal branding for ages, just to get clear on, first of all, what I wanted to do and who I wanted to do it for. And also bringing that into my message because, it is a matter of marketing. It is knowing how to do that and how to do those digital pivots, if you will. So that was one great tip. So what's your next one?
Okay. Once you know who your target market is, what's the message that resonates with them? You really have to find out their whys. That's why by pulling your current customers, and I hear this a lot, well, I don't have any customers yet. Yeah. Well, who do you want to work with? Go find people that's the market and ask them their challenges. I did this in one of my businesses. I polled, 100 and some people. I know I was going to get 10% back. Great. Whoever did, I bought them a coffee gift card. Guess what? That 10% back gave me so much feedback. I now crafted my message, but I also asked in there, what platforms are they on? Are they on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram? And then I started not stalking, but I checked it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you should be doing. You're doing market research here, people.
Yeah.
Because you got to know where your prospects are hanging out. Where are their eyeballs? Right. Where are their ears?
Right. And I think with the whole advent of AI, people are really having, they need to be able to use that. Right. But they need to be able to use that with who they're reaching in mind.
I would say take it with a grain of salt, people. You still have to put you into it because that has zero you personality in it.
Right, exactly.
And it might be close to the mark, but not on the mark. So always edit that thing.
Yeah, always. Yes, always. And my husband's my copywriter and editor. Oh. And so he goes, I'll say, go ask for an outline of this or that or the other thing. We're not going to use, I think ChatGPT is one of the worst writers I've ever encountered. You get really weird stuff sometimes. And you do have to take it with a grain of salt to begin with. But that's really important.
Absolutely. And, when you're on that medium, so I pulled mine, LinkedIn was number one, Facebook was number two, but I had different demographics. So they were, So my LinkedIn had one message. Facebook had a totally different message. Guess what? I'm still saying the exact same thing, just to them in the way they hear it, and it still produced the same results. So you can have multiple messages because I knew my demographics so well, but I also knew where they played.
And the psychographics. And one thing I tell, and I'm very much in the LinkedIn place. Not a whole lot of love for Facebook, but I tell my clients, go to Facebook and research the psychographics and the
Absolutely.
social aspects of it, because LinkedIn doesn't really give you that kind of information back, except in you can do polls and everything,
Right.
but you also have to know why they're buying, where do they live? What is their, do they have children? Are they family people? What kind of house do they, find all of those things. And then you get clearer and clearer on what's driving them. I'm not the person to help you get your daughter through college. I'm not going to do that for you. But if your ambition is that you want all of your children to be in higher education or to have that, then it's a completely different thing. So really getting that clarity.
Oh, I agree. I wanted to get in Australia, bust into that market, but I know it's different rules and laws and everything else. So I did research, guess where? LinkedIn and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
What was the largest networking association in Australia? Found them, went back on LinkedIn, found the two co-founders of it, reached out to them, got on a Zoom call, had to teach them how to get on Zoom. We got on Zoom call. I asked them, just peppered them with questions about their organization and everything. I go, here's what my goal is. And they go, oh, here, let's talk about this. Here's who it is. They gave me all the information. So I built a marketing package and I did a presentation for many of their networking groups. And next thing you know, I got clients. And we did a referral, joint venture partnership. And it was, so I was getting lots of business from Australia. So later in the afternoon to me, morning the next day to them.
Right. Exactly. The difference in those messages is so important in finding those people. And you were talking about joint ventures. A lot of people don't even know that that's a thing, or referral partners. And what I tell people is when you're looking at that community, when you've really got it, very key, you want to reach your ideal clients. You also want to reach your ideal partners.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think we're both in that same boat. We always seek out the good JV partners.
Oh, yeah.
Collaborations. It's a win-win for both sides. And so I know some people say, well, you can't win on both sides. It's like, you know what? We're both after the same goal. Then it's a win-win because it's an equal share. It's a partnership. It's not, we're not getting into business together, but it's a short-term effect with long-term results and gains.
Yeah, exactly. And I know since I've developed joint venture partners, my knowledge and they're always people with the same target audience.
Yes.
And tangential, though they're not offering the same service.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's really important. And Steve, we're going to have to go in a few minutes, but I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your free gift because that's very cool. I'm trying to pull up my.
I know. I was going to say, I think it's the book. One of the books. I have 9 books now. So.
Yeah. Oh, 9. The last time I heard it was 8. So
yeah, I had to get that 9th one in.
I've got it here. Here we go. Okay.
And I'm about ready to launch quite a few more because I've had them in the can, and I'm like, okay, when should I release these?
Yeah. I have so much respect for people who do that. I've been a co-author, but to sit down and actually do that on my own, no. The first person that we actually had on the summit talked. I've interviewed him a number of times, and I was having trouble writing, and he said, dictate.
Yeah.
And do it that way, and suddenly it wasn't so academic.
Oh yeah.
So your brand voice.
That's it. And one of my books, I had a goal in mind, had the outline. So what I did was get on podcasts, get the recordings of them. Every podcast was a chapter of the book.
Oh, wow. What a great idea.
Transcribed it, turned it over to a editor, copywriter who cleaned it up, thank God.
Yeah.
Guess what? The book was written, and did I really have to write a word? And it was so easy to do. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I wish I created that. I didn't. I heard about it and I thought I'll give it a shot. And then, oh my God, the result would go.
Yeah. And for those of us who are recovering academics, that's really important. And one last thing I wanted to ask you. I used to have a program called LinkedIn Live, and I'm changing that to the Dumont Digital Marketing Hour.
Mhm.
And I would love to have you on and interview you.
I'd love it.
So let's think about that. And thank you, Steve. You kicked off day 3 beautifully for us.
Well, I wish everyone, all the listeners, get some great business success. Take some of the tips, make them yours,
Mhm.
put you into it, and just rock it.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Steve. And I'll follow up with you
You
on
got
that. Okay, bye-bye.
it. Bye.